Don, did I just have a fever dream, or did we just get a brand new Mario Tennis Fever overview trailer showing off a ton of new things, I think? Don, are you hyped for this game or what at this point?
I mean, I'm interested. I wouldn't say that I'm excited for this game.
I think that's a very fair way of putting it. So, Don, here's the thing for me, right? I'm looking at this, I see the first 2/3 of the trailer. It looks like the most generic Mario Tennis sports game imaginable, besides Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. There's more characters, there's a Fever Rackets. I'm like, it's like all basically the same stuff we've seen before. The Fever Rackets even are basically just the same power shots in Mario Tennis, Mario Power Tennis on the GameCube, only now tied to the racket rather than the character. Although I do like that now the shots can be returned to you, which is a nice little touch. Aside from that, though, I'm like, man, what even, like, how can I get excited for a game I feel like I've played 5,000 times before? I made a tweet about this. A kid and Krista made a whole video about my tweet, which is a fun thing. So go watch that video if you guys haven't already. But then, I will say, Don, in the game's defense, we get to the second half or latter third of the trailer, and that's where it finally starts to get a little bit more interesting, where we see more of the new modes for the game, which I feel like they should have focused on earlier, where you actually have unique-looking courts and unique mechanics, things like the Forest Court match, or the Pinball match, where different hazards pop up, the Racket Factory match, or the Wonder Court match, where different effects take place. And I do want to circle back to the Forest Court, but I really like how the actual size of the court, or the shape of the court changes depending on where the ball lands, I think. That's actually a really cool idea, although I think there may have been a similar one in the 3DS tennis version. Anyways, point is, that stuff looked interesting. I wanted more of that, whereas the rest of the trailer, I'm like, man, this game is like just really generic looking. But Don, how did you kind of feel on the new stuff?
I feel sort of similar. I will say two things. I think, like you mentioned, I think the idea of ricocheting offensive shots, the ones that come from the Fever Rackets, is really cool.
Yeah.
Because basically in the other games it was more defensive and you could only sort of defend. And in Aces you would, for example, lose your record and immediately lose the point. So there's not much you could do otherwise. Here it's just basically, well, when it lands, its effects activates, which, there's a window of where you can basically shoot it back and sort of keep yourself into the game, which I think is a bit more balanced.
Though I will say they're doing one kind of unique thing here, although it's borrowing an element kind of from Mario Tennis Aces, in that if you get hit by one of these Fever shots, you'll actually take damage. If you run out of health, you're out of the match for a while. Now, they only show this in 2 versus 2, which makes sense. You're going to be without a teammate potentially, or you'll be the teammate that's out. So I think that's a really neat element. But I was wondering, how in the heck will this work in single matches? But as it turns out, if you look at the bottom of the screen during this segment, there's a little tiny text that says that if you lose HP in a single match, your character will move slower or lose movement speed, which, is a little bit different than how it works in 2 versus 2, but still an interesting idea, and makes it so that it's still worth depleting opponent's health if you can to try and score a point against them. So what do you think of that mechanic? Do you think that's cool? Like, does that... I remember us talking earlier, before we knew about this, like in our 2026 discussion, you really mentioned how you like that element from Mario Tennis Aces. So are you glad to see it kind of back here? Is this what you wanted?
Yes, it's returns in a different way, obviously. I don't think it's the exact same as that game, where you are more so free to do some really tricky shots, and with 2 wrong flexes from your opponent, you're kind of done. Right. Here it seems more so focused on, hey, do you land your FIFA shots correctly, and B, how much damage does it really do, because it likely depends also on the ability you use, or maybe it will be a cool part if it would be dependent on how long you keep up the rally.
Yeah, that's a good one. Maybe it is. We don't fully... They show it very briefly. Like, it's very easy to miss, actually. They gloss over very quick. And I'm like, that's actually probably the most interesting thing about this for me. I'm like, oh, an actual health meter, which, again, evokes Mario Tennis Aces. But that was one of the unique things that game did. So it is kind of neat to see them building on that. So do you like that more now, you think? Or are you...
For me, it's hard to say. I need to see how it plays out in the actual game, right? It was 2 shots and it's done. Now it's seems to be more flexible depending on the Fever shot you do.
Yeah, I like that it just adds another element. It's not just about getting a better shot off. It's about potentially damaging your opponent, which, adds another layer in that, like, oh, I can try to take him out now. Or maybe I want to save that and take him out later on, when it's more important, perhaps. I don't know. It seems interesting. Maybe it's nothing, but we'll see, so...
The other point that I want to make is, like, with the new different courts with the gimmicks, I feel that it leaves the main game in an interesting place, because it sort of feels like the interesting boards or courts are sidelined in side modes and then the main mode is solely just different types of gravel and grass.
1,000%, 1,000%. I think that's part of my problem. Partly why it feels so generic too, because it feels like you just took a real court and threw Mario characters out onto it. That's not what I want to play when I play a Mario tennis game or a Mario golf game or whatever it is. I want to feel like I'm playing in the Mushroom Kingdom. Mario Power Tennis killed it there. Like, their courts were amazing, and they weren't tied to gimmicky modes, you know? They were part of the main game. You had generic courts there as well, but that wasn't the focus. Whereas here, it feels like those are the focus. You know, I feel like, well, I could just play Wii Sports tennis if I wanted that, you know, or any other tennis game, you know? And yeah, that is a concern, especially because, you know, if I do want just standard tennis, I would like to be able to do it on a cool-looking court and not a boring grass court, you know? And also, even if they want to tie it to, like, those court types, you can still make them look more interesting. It doesn't have to be just a boring court in a boring stadium. It could be out in a Mario Mushroom Kingdom field or something, you know?
Right. I wouldn't say that Aces had a lot of them, but there were a couple of courses that you could pick outside of the main one in the main mode of Aces. And here it seems mostly focused around the stadium, with every single side mode being in a unique stadium.
Yeah, exactly. So I hope that those gimmicks and those stadiums are good, because it would suck if you had these cool themes that are just annoying to play if the gimmicks aren't fun, you know?
Yeah.
So ideally, what would be great is if they had the option to turn off the gimmicks too, that we can actually play on the court itself without having to play with a gimmick if you don't like it. So I'm hoping there's more here that they haven't fully shown yet, though I'm getting the suspicion that, no, we basically know how this game's going to work, right?
I mean, hopefully the story mode will be better.
Good point. I will say they didn't show off a whole lot of it here. They may have actually shown off more of it in the previous trailer. I don't know. In any case, we did see a little bit more of it here, and it doesn't look bad. I do think it looks interesting. Yeah. Maybe a little generic at points, but when they show off specific challenges, like the one where you're fighting back the Bullet Bills against the airship, or you're taking on the boss from 3D World, I'm like, okay, that actually looks kind of interesting. I forget, did they say if it has co-op or not? I don't think they did they?
No, they haven't said.
If it had co-op, that'd be awesome. I don't think it does. Yeah. So yeah, that has the potential to be good. Though the thing with adventure modes is, you know, for me, they're always like a one and done type thing. So it's like, okay, once I'm done with that, do I still want to play the rest of the game? So.
I hope the same with the challenge tower, which they are including this time around, where you have different missions. I hope those are replayable and you can play it with like another person. That will be the most ideal situation for that stuff.
That's a good point. Hey, and at least 2 ring shot mode is back as well, which I always was a fan of since the original 64. Don, we gotta talk about the roster though. 38 characters, by far the biggest roster ever, which is a pretty big jump if you consider we had Mario Tennis. What was the crappy Wii U one? What was it? What Mario? God, I can't remember. Anyways, whatever it was.
Ultra Smash.
Ultra Smash, thank you. Just 2 games ago. And with the smallest, I think what may have been the smallest roster ever, or at least in years. And now they're blowing it out with 38 characters. How are you feeling about this roster? Are you liking it? Or do you think this is a good roster?
You mean Ultra Smash, the game with a singular stadium?
A singular stadium, and how you can see almost every character at the same time on that stadium with the 8-player mode. You can see a single screenshot can show you 100% of the content in that game, which is kind of amazing, you know?
Yes. The fact that we still have it in the back of our mind and that it existed at some point. That's 11 years ago. How did that exist on Wii U, right?
Right, it's shocking. And also, I will say, Don, there were moments while watching this trailer where I had flashes. Like, there are moments, like, especially on those generic courts, that almost look like Ultra Smash. You know, maybe granted, I'm sure if I went back, I'd see more of the difference, but like, it looks a little too close for my comfort at times. But there's a lot more going on here. Anyways,
yeah, there's a lot more going on here, especially with the FIFA records and stuff. Sorry, what was your question?
The roster. How are you liking the roster?
The roster. I think the roster is pretty good. Like, 48 characters seems like a very lovely amount. That was even a step up from Aces. Like, Aces had a lot of characters.
It's a good roster, yeah. So
I will say that some of my favorites from Aces are gone now. Like,
really?
Chain Chomp.
Who? Yeah. Oh, Chain Chomp. Wait, no, Chain Chomp's in the middle.
Oh, Chain Chomp is in the middle? Perfect.
Yeah, he's here.
Cool. Okay. I forgot that Chain Chomp was there or not. But
yeah, no, you're good. He's right. He's actually sandwiched between Diddy and Birdo, so he's in a pretty prime spot. Yeah.
Wonderful. No, I think then all of them must be there then, roughly. There are some returns, like Wiggler's back from Power Tennis.
Yep.
There are some new ones, like Nabbit never was, I think, in a Mario Tennis game before, which is interesting.
I still
and
don't
then Baby
understand at what
Waluigi.
point now that became a popular character, but I'm
Yeah.
sorry, continue.
Yeah, and Baby Waluigi exists now.
Baby
which-
Waluigi exists. Wait, did we not know about him in the first trailer, or did we?
So he was in the first trailer, but
Okay.
only in story mode.
Oh, okay, well, I think we all assumed he'd be playable too then. But yeah, he's here, playable for the first time, so...
Yeah. I mean, he's the character, the only one of the few characters that never existed as a baby before. That's why people were like, what?
I will say, as a concept, I hate the baby characters, but you know, if you're gonna have babies, I'm glad Baby Wario and Baby Waluigi are here. So they could be hilarious. I hope that they are. I always find those, you know, the adult versions to be funny too. So here's hoping there's some good animations for them. Myself, you know, yeah, I think again it's a good roster. Like I don't really have any complaints except for the fact that there's no like huge surprises here. Like everyone is a character I think we've basically seen before outside of Baby Waluigi, and I would have loved to like, you know, where's King K. Rool? He's a big character now. Back spoilers. Why isn't he in the game? You know, that'd be awesome. I mean, there's actually a lack of DK characters in general, just DK and Diddy, I believe.
Sure.
So I would love that they had a few more deeper cuts here. I do like the Lumas here, though not new to the series. He was in the 7, and was he in Wii U version as well? Not 7, the 3DS one. I mean, was he in Wii U too though?
Was it? I mean,
I don't know. It doesn't
could
matter.
be. Like, does the roster of Ultra Smash really matter? By the way, remember which were unlockable characters in Ultra Smash? The Prixie from 3D World.
I forgot. That is crazy. Wow, that was their main new thing at the time. Those characters in 3D World. Wild.
Yeah.
Those were wild times, Don. My God.
Yeah. So I don't think the Prixie is back in Mario Tennis Fever.
I think
shockingly enough. But they're sticking to more of the core cast.
They are
a bit more expansion with like Goomba and a few others.
I wonder if they'll do DLC at some point. And like add characters.
I mean, they did a lot of free updates for Aces. Who knows, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And if they do, I appreciate that they're at least starting from a really strong base. Unlike Mario Strikers on Switch, which was missing characters from the core cast initially. So,
God, we're bringing up all the mediocre games at this point, aren't we? Yeah.
That's. I mean, it kind of speaks. It kind of speaks to the weird energy this game has, where a lot of it looks generic, but there are some fun new things here. I just hope that they're fun enough to keep me engaged, and I just don't grow bored of their, of the gimmicks.
I say this as a soccer/football fan. I think Mario Strikers Battle League might be one of the few only games in that specific sport that I only touched the opening night and then never again.
Wow. Yep, that really says something. So yeah, that's pretty much everything we saw in the Mario Tennis Fever overview trailer. So Don, how are you feeling about the game overall? Mechanically, visually, uniquely, whatever it is. How are you feeling?
I'm pretty once again, I'm very interested. I wouldn't call myself excited, but it's also not a non-interest. I think there is a lot of intrigue going on, especially with the Fever mechanics. I do think that some of the gameplay elements are a step back from Aces, or in the way that they are represented to us in the trailer. So I sort of need to see it all play out in front of me.
Yeah.
In general, I like the characters, especially now they have the new round design. I think that they pop a little bit more in a tennis game like this. But in general, it's just a wait-and-see approach on this game a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how I am, too. I mean, I still think it looks largely generic, but they are doing some interesting things here. Potentially interesting, I should say. Fever shots, are a little bit more, seem to have a little bit more depth than I may have initially credited them with. So I'm hoping that comes through in the gameplay, because I think that's going to kind of make or break this game, if that feels good, because it's one of the only truly unique elements here. My main, concern, again, involves just, like, the basic courts, like, and how boring they are. So I'm really hoping that the additional modes, like, are fun and engaging in their own right, because they're visually interesting, too. And, yeah, so I think there is potential here. I do wish they'd gone even further with it from what we've seen. Just so much of that trailer looked like the exact type of game I've played so many times before. But, maybe it will just nail the gameplay feel, which is the most important thing. So, I'm vaguely interested. I'm not hyped either for it, but there's potential here, so we'll have to wait and see. But Don, anything else, or should we wrap it up here?
Nah, it's all good.
That's it. All right, Don, thanks for sitting down with me to talk about Mario Tennis Fever. If you guys want to follow Don, where can they do that at, Don?
YouTube, Twitch, Blue Sky. It is at Nintendo, and it's NANTNDAAN.
You almost screwed it up again, even though this is a retake. Almost sounded like that's the only time you've ever messed it up. Alright. With everyone, thanks for watching. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Go follow Don. We'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.